when we were on our way to Halo 5, there was so many people saying, "Oh, this has to be better than Halo 4." Or, Halo 4 was terrible. This it wouldn't take much. It's going to be better. And for me, someone who loved Halo 4, I'm like, Halo 4 was great, but I do know there's a lot of people in the fan base that don't like it. So there's probably a good chance that 5 will be better received. And then 5 comes out, and it was this mixture of, like, you had the Bungie purists who were already upset with Halo, and then you had people like me and Alex, and I think you liked Halo 4, right, Taras?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had people like us who were like, no, we liked Bungie Halo, and we liked Halo 4, so we're really confident in Halo 5. And we kind of told all of our friends, and, Alex wrote his articles, and Taras made videos, and, like, this is good, this is still good, 343 is doing a great job, and then Halo 5 comes out, and you kind of feel like you're caught with your pants down almost, because you're like, I brought everyone around to this, I turned people's heads on Halo 4, I showed that I had so much confidence in this, and then Halo 5 comes out, and the story was just really, really weak.
I remember, like, when the credits started rolling in that game, it was kind of like, I felt like someone had pulled a prank on me, if that makes any sense.
Now the real game begins.
Yeah. It was just weird, because, like, I was genuinely excited to play Halo 5. I was so ready, and it was around Mission 7, I think, when Cortana came back, and that big reveal was through, like, a radio transmission.
Yeah.
And I was something's not right.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, turn your walkie-talkie to Channel 7, I'm here.
I remember it feeling weird for me because it was, like, the first mission where you're jumping in as Osiris, and I was like, I don't even know these guys? Like, I haven't really, like, I know the little bit of extra stuff we'd gotten, like, teased in the marketing stuff and Nightfall and whatnot, but, like, I didn't really quite... felt like I knew the other ones, and I wanted to, but I was someone who hadn't read some of the expanded lore and stuff.
See, it was this weird mix of, it's a really bold decision, obviously, to introduce a new protagonist that, the way they marketed it was going up against Chief, really playing on the sort of Captain America's Civil War and Batman versus Superman stuff that was going on at the time.
God, that's
I think
right,
that was a mistake, but...
that was that weird year where everything was, characters hate each other!
Yeah,
that's
right down to the
That's a good
box
point.
art, right? All the sort of key art images where it's like the two characters facing off against each other.
Yeah.
Bionicle did it first, but moving on.
It was a trend. I'm glad you put it that way. I never really thought of that. It was going on everywhere.
But you've got that, and then it goes in like... It's weird to say that Halo 5 has a safe story because it's obviously really, like, not enjoyed by a lot of people, but the safe direction of, Cortana's actually alive, and now she's a villain, and, all the ways it goes to that. It's just weird, is how I characterize it. It's hard to pin down to just any one thing, because it's this mess of contradictions.
Yeah, and it's kind of like also that weird... I honestly don't know what was up with, like, the cutscene direction. My personal theory is that the reason the cutscenes are also brief and, like, weirdly scripted is because they had the assumption that you'd have 4 people yelling at each other in a party on Xbox Live. And so they didn't want to bore them. So, like, all the cutscenes didn't give the player enough information. Like, nobody talked to each other. They were just talking about the plot.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
You're not
Always
the only
faded
one
out.
here because of him. Fade to black.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, the whole time I played Halo 5, because I was one of those, I like to say I'm one of those people that are optimistic, so when I was playing Halo 5, first mission, second mission, third mission, I'm going, okay, I kind of like this, it's good, not perfect, but it's good. And then, it was getting, I think I was around the second to last mission, which is the last mission you play as Chief, and I'm going, this isn't really hitting for me. If they just land it at the end, I think I can get by. And then the ending was just the worst part for me, because Cortana showing up and being like, I'm going to protect you and put you in a cryptum and everything, and I've talked about it extensively before, but it...
Put you in a giant circle!
Yeah, I'm gonna put you this whole time I led you here to this, and then also it's like, Locke's all like, we're going after her, Chief. I'm gonna punch you in the face, but then at the end he's like, "We're here for you, sir." So it's one of the. I mean, right? So then it's one of those deals.
Taras is laughing so hard he's got coronavirus again.
Oh my god, that took me by surprise.
There's always
But
a
then-
moment where you know you've broken him.
Yeah. So then,
Oh my
I've talked about it extensively over the years. It's like, I'm so optimistic on those things. It's like I could have accepted Halo 5, but there was just one too many things that were bad for me. Like if the only thing bad in the whole game was Cortana being evil, I could maybe get by it. But I thought the revive system was really bad. I thought playing as Chief for only 3 missions was bad. I thought the Warden Eternal was bad in general. I thought fighting him 5, 6, 7 times was even worse. So it's just like all of these things kept compounding to just make an overall, experience that was just less than average.
It's a shame as well because, they got Tim Longo, who was creative director for Republic Commando, those games, and the squad commands and that was a really great idea that they just couldn't commit to because they're caught in this middle ground of, well, this isn't traditional Halo gameplay. And how confident are we in expanding beyond that when people were telling us on Halo 4, where we actually toned down a lot of stuff to be more sort of traditional Halo, they're saying, well, this is too far in the other direction. So I understand that 343 was in a really difficult position in terms of what they commit to. But I think the result is that it didn't really please anybody.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you guys think like the narrative in regards to Locke might have changed a bit had there been maybe more balance with Chief and stuff like that in the game? Like I'm always curious because I feel like there's so much hatred toward Locke and just such a dislike toward him. Do you think had there been a bit more of a balance that people would have maybe liked him more?
I think those 3 missions with Chief, give them to Locke. Make him the star of the whole campaign.
Agreed.
Give us more time.
I agree. Yeah.
I think you open up a lot more doors for people to be more interested if you don't answer every question by the end of the second mission in the story. And by playing as Chief, you just completely rid the story of any of the questions it raises. And as a result, it's like, well, I'm not going to be surprised by anything. Not really a reason to be engaged.
Yeah, I think I told Josh before, I'm like, if the game was just called Halo Guardians and it was a spin-off where you play as Locke the whole time, immediately I think you win over a lot more people. And you just continued on with a proper Halo 5 that was just Chief-focused.
Yeah, if it's like Chief goes AWOL for no reason, nobody quite knows what's going on, and you're constantly behind him at all times, and it's like, what are these Guardians? Why are they being resurrected? What does Chief have to do with this? Yeah, the fact that they, like, the second mission, like, oh, got it, it's Cortana. Like, if that was an ever-present mystery and you as Locke are trying to piece it all together and how the Chief is connected to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like Chief has the domain vision. He sees Cortana. Okay, next mission, well, not next mission, but just a little while later, we meet the Warden Eternal. He says he serves Cortana. Okay, we get to Genesis. We hear Cortana. And then it just plays it straight completely. There's no room for surprising the player with something that's kind of, out of left field. Like in Halo 4, where they introduced the composer. Well, nobody had guessed that would be a thing when they read Primordium, which, heavily featured the composer. And it was just one of those, oh, they're going in this direction. And, it changes sort of how you see that campaign in the direction it moves from there as it explores the Prometheans. But the Prometheans hardly factor into Halo 5 at all. In fact, you could remove them entirely from the story and you would have very minimal changes.
You might have touched on this before in one of your articles, Alex, but I wonder, do you think because do you agree with me in the fact that there was a good, very loud chunk of people during Halo 4's release that just didn't like the game, right? We're in agreement on that?
Yes.
So do you think that the distaste for Halo 4 made them make a lot of changes to what became Halo 5?
I think so, yeah. I think it's reasonable to say that 343 maybe pivoted it a bit too hard towards some of those criticisms, and understandably so, because, they want to make the best game to please people, because it's not just a sort of auteur creative endeavor where it's the singular vision that gets sort of made. It's a huge AAA studio that's ultimately selling a product for as a flagship for the console. And that's really important. It was the first Halo game to come out on Xbox One, not discounting the Master Chief Collection, because that was obviously just a collection for the games coming up to the next generation. But this was going to be the big leap forward.